Welcome to this second in our series of Lent videos, another short um, journey into what I'm calling the mystic Bible, and perhaps considering some of the mystical elements of the Christian faith. Now, as always, I say, I don't know whether you've come here just because it's an interesting image, or whether you're on a journey of faith, or whether you've got questions. Um, there's no particular purpose to this other than sharing the inspiration of this particular piece of work, this particular Bible that is so utterly beautiful. Now, last time I promised that we'd have a look at Noah, and in front of you, hopefully, you can see in great detail what an amazing image this is. It's a woodblock print, and you can see the way that the wood has been carved in such a way that it gives shadow and light. And it is the most sophisticated image when you think how early in the days of printing this must have been. Now, I'll begin with the word that you can see in Latin at the bottom of the picture, which is, I think, pronounced inunderant. Anyway, it's the same meaning effectively as inundated, but inund means flood. So although it's inundated, what it actually is inundated with the water. And what you're seeing is those who didn't get on the ark, or at the time that people are getting on the ark, the water coming up and overwhelming the people. You also see in the image the worst and best of humanity. To the right of the image, as I'm looking at it, there is a leg coming in with a foot on the head of a child. So effectively the kind of worst image of humanity stepping on the innocent in order to save themselves. But on the other hand, you see that the figure in the foreground is trying to revive a child that has been overwhelmed by the water, and also challenging us a little bit with that idea about what knowledge was at that time, because clearly, unless I'm completely misinterpreting it, what we're seeing there is a person giving a child mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And I don't know what your image of history at that time was, but I don't know what sort of medical knowledge that they had, and I suspect that I'm doing them a disservice. You also see a loving relationship between a heroic figure, possibly a supernatural figure, and a child. And in the background, you'll see a figure climbing a tree to get away from the flood and the water. But you've also got ethereal beings potentially going up to heaven. So you've got a sense of a much more complicated image of Noah's Ark. Now, when I was in Sunday school, there was a pretty black and white image where God was clearing the world of all the bad things, and the good people were getting on the ark, and the animals were going to be saved, and God was going to wipe the earth clean. Now, symbolically, that's a nice, easy lesson to teach, but a mystical understanding, an understanding that's got a sense of the open-minded about it, says, of course, those who drowned were a great loss to God as well, in trying to engage with something of the mysticism of this. So whether you see it as literal or metaphorical, what you can see is that we're being challenged to receive humanity in all its complexity, and that those who are lost and those who are saved are not so far apart. Also, you'll note that the person in the foreground is potentially wearing a headdress. That might be a Hindu headdress. We don't know, of course. But there's also something there about who the good people are, and what this chaos is like, and the fact that there's a mixture of humanity in there. So all I wanted to emphasize for today's short video is that on our journey to look at the mystical side of this Bible and the mystical side of our faith, part of it is about trying to get rid of some of our self-imposed restrictions and trying to liberate ourselves from a view that might have been imposed on us from childhood. We all know the story of Noah from Sunday school, or from childhood, or from school. And it's portrayed as a very simple story. The animals went in two by two, but this inundation in the water, the suffering, the pain, the struggle, the variety of humanity, the nature of God's salvation, the mystical creatures being muddled in with the physical, literal people. It's a far more challenging understanding, and that's going to be part of our journey as we go towards Easter. Thank you for listening. The next one will be on Monday.